In Blood Glacier, the snow isn't just melting, it's also thirsty for blood. The movie begins with Janek, a technician, sound asleep in his barracks nestled in the picturesque Alps. He's snuggled up with his furry companion, a sloppy dog, who seems just as content as he is. Janek is a part of a team of scientists stationed there, but unfortunately, he hasn't formed a good bond with them. The group includes Berthe, Harold, and Falk, and they're grumbling to Janek about the climate data transmitter in Station 3. The device isn't working, and they need it fixed before the minister's arrival tomorrow. Janek is aware of the urgency, and he promises to resolve it as soon as possible. He steps out into the crisp air and notices Tinny, his dog, staring intently at something. After calling her to come eat, he packs up for their hike to Station 3, joined by Falk. The doctor asks why he lives in such an isolated location, but he remains tight-lipped. As they trek, the dog runs off in search of a scent, leading them to a striking red glacier. Falk's curiosity is piqued, and they investigate, speculating that an organic being could be responsible. He quickly takes a sample of the vibrant ice. As Janek explores the icy depths of the glacier cave, his faithful dog scurries ahead, eager to lead the way. Suddenly, the pooch's barks fill the air, a distress call that Janek can't ignore. Rushing forward, he finds his furry friend whimpering in agony, wounds fresh and bleeding. But there's something else in the cave too, a dying fox with a strange creature growing inside its belly. As the creature bursts forth, the dog yelps in terror, causing Janek to jump up and accidentally injure himself. Despite the pain, he's determined to save his furry friend, searching for help from Falk. With first aid applied, Janek tries to explain what happened, but the events are too bizarre to fully comprehend. After their exploration of the glacier, the team returns to their base. Bertha takes a moment to examine the sample they collected and comes to the conclusion that it contains living organisms. Unfortunately, Janek is still in a great deal of pain due to his head injuries. He alerts Harold about a fox that may have rabies and suggests that they warn the minister. The doctor responds by administering morphine to ease Janek's headache. Meanwhile, the minister arrives in the Alpines with Tanya, Janek's former girlfriend who specializes in glaciology, and a few other experienced mountaineers. She calls Janek to inform him that they will be visiting their base tomorrow. Janek falls asleep due to the effects of morphine. During the night, he awakens to a strange noise and discovers a strange creature. He quickly retreats inside the base and locks the door, grabbing his gun. The scientists reassure him that it's merely a hallucination caused by the morphine. Janek searches for the satellite phone to prevent the minister and her team from entering the area, fearing the presence of a dangerous creature. Falk prevents him from doing so by grabbing the phone. Janek calms down and retrieves Tinny before returning to his room to sleep. The next day, Janek takes action and calls Tanya, urgently alerting her about the rabid fox. He explains that it has bitten their dog. Janek and Birta then set out to explore the glacier. As they approach, they notice that the redness of the glacier has vanished. Birta takes a sample while Janek heads to a nearby stream to relieve himself. Suddenly, a monstrous bug appears. Quick on his feet, Janek kicks the bug away like a rolling watermelon. Afterward, they decide to take the watermelon-like bug back to their base for further examination. Birta takes a tissue sample from the curling bug and places it under the microscope. Meanwhile, the minister and her group hike towards the base. Along the way, they capture a photo, and unfortunately, a bug bites the cameraman. After some time, Birta determines that the bug is a hybrid of a louse and a fox. She explains that the fox has ingested both the glacier microorganism and blood of lice, allowing the microorganism to absorb DNA from both sources and form the hybrid fox lice. Janek inquires about the potential outcomes if an animal infected by the microorganism ingests human blood. Berthe states that any hybrid combination is possible, which includes the formation of a hybrid human-animal from the glacier microorganism. Janek checks on his sick dog and finds it still unwell. He calls Tanya to inform her of a rabid animal near the glacier, advising her to take a different path. Janek retrieves his gun, intending to euthanize the dog, but hesitates when he sees its helpless eyes. Tanya notifies the group of the situation, and they all comply with her request to take a different route. When Tanya calls Janek again, she hears the dog crying. Shen advises Janek not to euthanize the dog as she may be able to treat it. Meanwhile, in the Upper Alps, a woman is running when a monstrous bird attacks and injures her. Back in the base, Janek goes to get Tanya and her group to keep them safe, but the scientists warn him not to reveal information about a mutation to the journalist in the group to prevent panic. However, Janek disobeys their request. The scientists try to stop him, but he manages to leave. As he travels, he comes across a deceased ibex with a gaping stomach. Meanwhile, the minister and her party continue their trek through the Alps. The cameraman, who was bitten by a mutated insect, is suffering from illness. They decide to take a short break. Suddenly, the woman we saw earlier is running towards them, unable to speak due to exhaustion. Suddenly, the group is attacked by the mutant bird and the strong man pulls out his gun to protect them. However, he cannot aim at the bird, which is too quick. The bird stabs the strong man with its talon, killing him instantly. The rest of the group flees in terror. As they run, they stumble upon Janek, and they all return to the base together. They provide medical care to the injured woman right away. The journalist wants to go outside to look for the cameraman who has yet to return. Janek desperately searches for a satellite phone at the base, but to no avail. He approaches Harold to inquire about its whereabouts and is informed that it is in the measuring station. However, Harold reveals that Bertie and Falk have left for the glacier, and that he had hidden the phone to prevent Janek from leaking information about the microorganism found there. This leaves Janek frustrated, as the phone is their only means of calling for help. Meanwhile, Tanya questions Harold about the situation, and he is left with no choice but to reveal everything to her. Unaware of what is happening, Berta and Falk bring the mutant bug to the other station, only for it to suddenly jump and attach itself to Berta's face. Falk manages to remove it using a stone, but Berta's face gets ripped apart as a result, leading to her death. Janek and Tanya return to the base to find their dog in excruciating pain. Upon examination, they discover a creature moving inside its stomach. Tanya prepares the euthanasia substance, but asks Janek to administer it. With a heavy heart, Janek ends the dog's suffering and breaks down in tears. On top of this, Tanya then reveals that she had become pregnant with their child but had an abortion, causing Janek even more grief. Suddenly, Falk arrives, being chased by a mutant ibex. Janek and Tanya lock the door, but the ibex continues to attack, causing a power outage. After a few tense moments, the creature breaks through the window. Janek tries to stop the ibex, but it acts like a bulldozer and pushes him away. He stands up and fights the goat dozer with all his might. The minister rushes to get a drill and uses it to harm the ibex, causing it to retreat due to the pain. After fixing the electricity in the window, the minister informs them that they will be picked up by armed guards the next day. To avoid any issues, she suggests waiting inside. However, a random woman in the base is dying, forcing Janek and Tanya to look for the satellite phone. They convince Falk to join them, certain that he knows where it is. As they leave the base, a mutant creature hatches from the woman's wound. The old man proposes burning it, which they do after the minister removes it from the wound. She then uses a hot iron on the wound, causing the woman to scream. Meanwhile, Janek and Tanya have a quarrel while hiking, still fighting over the abortion. The random woman is successfully treated, and they all drink alcohol to calm their nerves. Suddenly, the cameraman arrives, infected and begging for help. Unfortunately, he dies. Mutant flies emerge from his wound, causing panic inside the base as they try to push them away. Harold's lab gown catches fire and he runs outside only to burn to death. The base begins to burn, and the minister and others try their best to survive. Meanwhile, Janek, Tanya, and Falk arrive at the station, but find no trace of Bertie. Falk searches for the satellite phone but only finds a flare gun and sneaks it into his pocket. Janek leads them in a search inside the cave where they find Berta's lifeless body lying on the ground. As they try to retrieve the satellite phone, they accidentally reveal her face, which scares them. Falk points his flare gun at them, demanding Janek's gun. Tanya tries to fight back, but he pushes her away. Suddenly, a mutant creature appears and attacks Falk, killing him instantly. As the vicious creature attacks them, Janek and Tanya run for their lives. But, unfortunately, Janek gets caught. The creature sniffs him out and pounces, sinking its teeth into his flesh. Tanya doesn't hesitate for a second. She grabs the ice tool and stabs the creature relentlessly, trying to save her friend. Janek fights back and with Tanya's help manages to escape. They quickly decide to finish off the creature and kill it for good. Afterward, they make their way back to the base, but not without first washing their faces in the cool waters of the nearby river. Tanya uses the satellite phone to call for help, reporting their situation and requesting a helicopter to come and pick them up. As they wait for the rescue team, Tanya and Janek reconcile, hugging each other tightly, But their moment of peace is short-lived. Smoke billows from the base and they quickly realize that something is terribly wrong. They rush towards it, only to discover that the entire structure has burned down. In the midst of the chaos, they find the minister, the old man, and the journalist, who all survived the fire. Sadly, the young girl did not make it. Despite this tragedy, the helicopter finally arrives, taking them away from the horrors of the wilderness. Before they leave, Yannick and Tanya take one last look at their loyal dog. It's then that they witness something beyond comprehension. A human-like mutant creature emerges from the dog's stomach. Yannick tries to kill it, but Tanya stops him, realizing that it is Yannick's child, born with mixed DNA. All this because the dog licked some of Yannick's wounds earlier. In the end, for some reason, they bring the mutant creature with them and the helicopter takes them to safety.